Hi, this is Dave and my wife Roxanne Bonson, and we're here at our home known locally as the Santa House, 1489 Valley View Drive, enjoying the evening, and it's the Isle of Lights night.
And we've been doing this decorations, this display since 1991, not to this extent. We started out pretty small and it's exploded since then. Blossomed, I should say.
And this is more my fault than hers.
It's all his fault. We started decorating the house in 1991. We moved here in December of 90. And we started out pretty small. We had a little bit of nativity and a couple things that are now up on the roof, still up on the roof, but it's really exploded since then and grown, and the response has grown along with it.
And contrary to popular belief, our neighbors do enjoy it. And they don't mind the traffic, you know. 'Tis the season, it only comes once a year.
One of my favorites is the reindeer crossing sign out by the street, and then the bows on the door. I like the simplest parts.
I of course like the trains. Most little boys and girls like the trains. The one thing we try to do is reckon back to an older time, a little slower time. So we don't have a lot of flashing lights and things, but one of the important things about a display is to have movement. Movement's the key, and obviously trains move, along with some of the other things here. We will have our display up. It usually starts the weekend after Thanksgiving and goes until January 1st. It's every evening from 5 p.m. to 10 p.m.
And I was going to tell you that on the day of Isle of Lights, on today, we have a big party here in the garage, and we need more block captains in the city of Coralville to do this. What we do is just invite this neighborhood in. We fill the sandbags and then deliver them around the neighborhood, put them out on the sidewalks so they're ready for the residents to light the candles at 5 o'clock. And it's so much fun. And even a lot of the same neighbors come year after year. And every once in a while we get a new one. This year we got a neighbor who's been here a couple of years but never ventured over. And it's, they say this is great because sometimes this is the only time we get to talk to our neighbors and see what's going on and catching up, and it's a lot of fun. But we need more people in Coralville to step up and be a block captain. So
it truly is a good neighbor policy, and it's great through all the neighborhoods of Coralville. And the more people that join it, the merrier. The bags are free, the sand is free, candles are nominal cost. It's a fun time, and I think everyone enjoys it. We have, of course, men and women, and all the kids enjoy putting everything out as well. Merry Christmas, Coralville!
Okay, well, I'm Jim Albrecht.
And I'm Margaret Morgan.
Okay.
I'm the originator of the whole thing called the Isle of Lights. I started in 1983, and
No, I think it was 1980.
yes,
That's
no.
31 years.
Well, anyway,
31 years.
whatever.
Okay, all right.
And we really promoted it then. And then I had to give it up about 10 years later, and since then we haven't been exciting enough about it in the community. So now Jim and I are trying to revive it with some new, what we call it, the new flicker.
Well, we call it the flicker. Yeah, we just kind of made a title for the
Yeah,
for the
with
candles.
new
It's called the
candles.
flicker.
Because last year it was so hard because of the wind we had and the rain and the bad weather that the little candles probably would be more durable and stay lit longer and not burn the socks up. So we're trying to revive it
No.
today.
Okay,
So-
Margaret, my turn.
Okay.
All right, now I'm Jim Albrecht, and I want to call myself Margaret's elf. I met her 11 years ago, and so anyway, she was kind of cruising down the street, and I happened to see these sacks being formed on the sidewalks. And so I'm like, what's up? I didn't know, because I just moved into Coralville, and I saw this lady here, and I thought, well, maybe that is her, and I said, Margaret? She said, yes. And I said, may I be your elf? I said, this looks really neat with the
You asked
candles
me-
and the sacks and
Well,
all
you
that.
asked me if you could help me, see, and I, oh yeah, oh,
Right,
yeah,
exactly,
yeah.
exactly.
So
So
we had fun
that's
with
how it started, and then I got on a committee with her, and my task basically was to go ahead and get captains for the blocks and everything, and coordinate the sacks. We actually get those from Hy-Vee and Hawkeye Wholesale. They've been very generous as far as furnishing those, and then Hawkeye Ready Mix furnishes the sand.
The sand, yeah.
So anyway, I guess the biggest thing here is that how things kind of fell apart was all the winds. I'd say of the 11 years that I've been involved, 4 were very windy. You couldn't do anything. And I recall one time the fire department had to cancel it. because the sacks would be on fire and we just could not do it. It was so windy. So now what we've done is gone to this battery style candle, which we don't have any issue with the wind. You know, rain's not going to bother them or anything like that. And they're very much
60 hours.
60 hours, and they look so much like a candle. They're very, you know, very authentic looking and everything, you know. And so we experimented with them, and we placed them in different areas. We went ahead and, you know, in the cold and things like that to kind of monitor the timetable of how long the candle will last and everything. And it's been successful. I want to go ahead and mention that our other task that we do is that we have the Boy Scouts that are very involved in as far as setting of sacks, the sand, getting the sand in the sacks and everything. And I want to mention a big thank you for Randy Ward with Randy's Carpets. We're standing in the warehouse right now, and what we did was so impressive is that we had, I want to say maybe 20 people. Okay, in 1 hour, we had 3,000 sacks with sand in them and loaded on the carts. It was very impressive, you know, and they were very busy in the way they did that. We distributed them out. Our main arteries of Coralville, we went ahead and started on 1st Avenue and did 5th Street all the way to Hy-Vee, and then we also went ahead and did 12th Avenue from the Strip out to Holiday Road. And so it took us probably about an hour and a half to go ahead and set these sacks out. We're still busy. We're still doing some extras, special things, you know, with the sacks and everything, setting them up. We'll be taking them out pretty soon here to go ahead and light them. Actually, we turned them on. I don't know. We have them all lit. We're going to go ahead and take them out. And we're not worried about them at all. Once we go ahead and drop in the sacks, they'll be lit. And then we're going to go ahead and clean up tonight, you know, around 10:30. And so I really feel that this is going to be one of our best years of having the sacks and everything all set up and everything. And it's a special thing to market. This is what, you know, we do this. One of the big reasons we do it. Well, Merry Christmas to you all. Yeah, and
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Get out there and check out all the Christmas lights and everything.
See all the pretty things, all the houses that are decorated. This year is going to be a lot more than usual.
Yes.
So don't miss anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, my name is Nicholas Christopher Kringle Claus, but most people just call me Santa, like you'd said. Yeah, I stopped here in Coralville at the request of the Johnson County Historical Society, so we're here decorating cookies. Kids are checking out the choo-choo trains that are in the room next to us here, and they're also making some other Christmas crafts, things like that.
Can you give us an idea of how Coralville children have been this year? Have they been naughty or nice?
Well, I'll tell you. We made a stop through about a week ago, and we spoke with a few of the teachers in the Coralville area, and we asked them if the kids were learning and studying and doing their homework, and that was a check, doing good there. We stopped by and we talked to some of the parents, just a few, and asked how their kids are behaving and how brothers are treating sisters and sisters treating brothers, and they're all doing really well. And we stopped also and we spoke to some of the soccer coaches in the area. It's a pretty big sport in Coralville for young kids, and all the coaches said kids are playing fair, so I'd say overall Coralville is a nice area for children.
So did you have trouble parking your sleigh?
Well, I'll tell you what, I was kind of hoping we'd have a little more snow at Coralville this year, but I'd say as far as sleigh parking, it went okay. Had to use the little less aggressive sleigh on the sled, but it was all right.
And how was your sleigh powered this year? Is it reindeer or?
Reindeer power all the way. Traditional.
So, and can you tell me what Mrs. Claus is up to?
Well, when I make these visits to different towns and cities across the world, Mrs. Claus usually sticks behind and keeps the elves in line, make sure things stay on track. They work hard, but I think they play harder.
So she's kind of the muscle behind the operation.
She really is. I'm kind of a big kid myself.
As far as a year for presents goes, what do you think?
It's, you know what, there's a lot of different trends every year for Christmas, and I'd say this year is a big year for bikes, a big year for electronics. You know, years ago it wasn't such a electronic world, but lots of electronics, so.
How are the elves faring these days?
Never better. Always young little characters, that's for sure.
Well, it's great to have you here, and everybody in Coralville appreciates your taking the time to show up for us.
Well, it's my pleasure. I appreciate coming by.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, I'd like to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. It's been a good stop here in Coralville, Iowa. I appreciate you having me. Merry Christmas.
Hi, I'm Tom Pursoon. Welcome to the Hawkeye Model Railroad Club's open house at the 2014 Coralville Isle of Lights. The Hawkeye Model Railroad Club has been in existence since 2006. It's a 501c3 educational corporation whose mission is to teach people about trains and model railroading and the fun of the model railroading hobby. We have about 20 members from all over eastern Iowa. Our club has meetings every Wednesday night from 7 to 9 p.m. and visitors are welcome at that time.
Oscar Peterson.
If you'd like more information, visit our website, hawkeyemodelrailroad.org. From the members of the Hawkeye Model Railroad Club,
Merry Christmas!
name is Jeff Boone, and I'm a brand new associate pastor here at Genesis Church. So we're here at the Big White House on 12th Ave in Coralville. It's that big white house that you might have seen. It's been here forever, just past the interstate. And it was empty for about 30 years, and Genesis Church was able to buy it in 2007 from the family, or the heirs of the same family that had owned it for a long time, and was able to rehab it over about 3.5 years, and in 2010 opened it up to the community. Genesis Church meets here Sunday mornings, but it's also open throughout the week, and there's a lot of different community groups that use it. Weddings are sometimes held here, and gatherings, and high schools have brought their groups. There's a really cool attic space upstairs. We've had some concerts. So it's a great little multi-purpose house, and Genesis has been here 4 years now, meeting on Sunday mornings and open to the community. I spent most of my time just by accident upstairs in a room playing games and cards with a bunch of kids that came in. There were a lot of middle school age kids and elementary kids who came in, and obviously they were a little bored as the adults chit-chatted, so we went upstairs with a couple of the parents and played apples to apples, and in the course of that you'd have families wandering through, and if their kids saw other kids in that room, we could just invite them in and say, why don't you play with us? And we had about 4 different groups of kids that just came through, and it was a little bit more of a personal touch so that they don't just have to be dragged around with the adults all the time. So little things like that, I think. And also just, during the week here, we'll have people just pop in sometimes saying, I've driven by this house for 20 years, and what goes on here? And just to let them know, like, well, there's a church that meets here, but it's also just a place where people can study. There's Wi-Fi, there's coffee. We've got a couple of people writing dissertations here. And in an open house like this, you have more people coming in a more concentrated way, just to say, I didn't know that this house was here and that it was open. So it's nice just to be a welcoming presence. And the space is small, it's cozy. When the church meets here on Sundays, you can't fit more than about 45 people in that room, and so it's nice. It's not like a big high-ceilinged classical church. It's a farmhouse, which is what it is, and so it's a more personal space, and that's one thing I really like about this house. All of us here at the Big White House want to wish Iowa City and Coralville a very happy holidays, and let you know you're always welcome here at the Big White House on 12th Ave in Coralville.